So the other thing I bang on about is that Australia's imprint on the world, the global floor, on the global arena, is 1%. So, do you think?
I think it's actually the impact of coal and plastic is bigger than what you think. Okay, it's a big country, and unfortunately, or fortunately, the mining history, the plastic history is actually massive in this country.
So.
But but Australians love nature.
Yeah, no, we do.
I think India. I don't know. I mean, how many countries now they are going into for plastic free? It's gonna happen. I mean, Australia always they say that we are far from everyone. We are 1%. At the end of the day, you are like 5% of the entire territory. Yeah. Massive. Okay, but
so are you pro nuclear power? Yes. Or against nuclear power? So
nuclear power is an interesting thing because I think that what happened in this the drama related to explosions and terrible things we have seen in the past was related to safety, not related to the product itself. So there is a lot of change that need to happen in the education of people because that type of power is a very interesting power. This is a very interesting type of powers that can be used. There is a lot of misinformation.
Yeah.
So about power, about coal, people protest against mining, for example, heavily. But mining is not all about coal. Most of the mining in Australia about copper and about lithium. And copper and lithium are used to do your Tesla car and your solar batteries and your phone. And you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
there is a lot of misinformation. So the information needs to get better for people to understand. But, I wrote something interesting that Rio Tinto or someone, I don't know, is changing the way they do casing with Apple. So they are not come from plastic and coal.
Because they use uridium.
Yeah, so there's a lot of misinformation. But there's a lot of good things as well. So it's not all bad. We need copper,
I'm pro-nuclear.
Yeah,
I think,
me too.
You look at, unfortunately, there's Chernobyl, which is back in the 80s, I think. And then Fukushima, which they built on a fault line on the coastline. Australia, very stable. We've got a lot of desert.
Of course. A lot of space.
And we've got high taxes. So it could be something that I can't believe that a government's not picking up to say, we mine it. We mine uranium here.
I know. Not far from Adelaide, actually.
Yeah, correct. If we turned ourselves into a nuclear power plant like Simpsons, so to speak, you've got the right conditions to be able to do it, which we already do.
I think it's a cultural problem there. It's not a technology problem. The technologies are amazing. And just it's generation that have been affected too much that what happened during the war and what happened in Russia,
Well, we're one of the only countries, and I was lucky enough to sit next to someone that I actually probably can't say, but the story goes along. We buy nuclear submarines for our beautiful country, and we convert them to diesel.
Yeah, I know.
And I said, okay, what's the difference between a diesel submarine and a nuclear submarine? He goes, well, you could put it like this. A nuclear submarine is quite quiet, can't hear it. Diesel submarine, we can hear it from a mile away. Yeah. And a diesel submarine can stay underwater for 60 days and a nuclear submarine can stay underwater for 90 days. Why the fuck would we do that? And then you go, so what countries are using nuclear? France, China, USA. It's like France. Out of all people, France are using it. Well, then it's good enough for me. But that's another story because that comes down to the mining. And that's a big part of it.
All of it, all these things that we're discussing now. So you're in your life, you're thinking, will the customer be happy if I do a change? This is a business decision. It's important, okay?
Yeah,
it's not as easy. But for government and public. So if you think about space, the creation of the space industry here, and we need to go through a lot of misinformation about what space is all about. People were like, why do we need to invest money in space? Who wants to go to Mars? Why should you, how many times here? Why should we go to Mars and invest in space technology if we don't have money for our kids? That sentence and I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. So my satellites helps the farmer, helps you, helps the industry, helps people not to get into cars, to check a pole that is going down in the middle of nowhere during a storm. It helps the economy. People don't know that. People think about space, just rockets, destructions. Totally. And then now South Australia is building a rocket pad in Port Lincoln. I don't know if you know that, okay?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. People are like, what do we do with a rocket? What do we do with a rocket? We put in the rocket the satellites from Flavia to help the farmer, okay? Because Flavia needs a rocket to go up. So there is that little, as every technology, you need a little bit of education, you know. Otherwise, it's a complicated things to understand. So we need to be clear.
There's no doubt it is. And you talk about the space pad. I was just clarifying that. Even your accent made it sound.
Oh, it's a space pad. The space, not space pad. A space, not space pad. Let's call it a space launch pad. Okay.
So,
what do you think? Is it better?
So for us, and like you're now a proud South Australian.
Yeah, I'm Australian.
Yeah.
You know, I became Australian last weekend.
Yeah. So you now and you've been in Adelaide long enough to know that we don't want to go to Woomera is a fair way away. We're going to Port Lincoln. It's a little bit closer. So how close are we from actually seeing a rocket launched from
Port Lincoln?
A
few years.
That's all?
Yeah. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. See, that's just so amazing. And we're really lucky to be, and we're lucky to have people like you pushing that fact.